thoughts. All right, so we're going to continue with Jacqueline. And I left off with just finishing up the self-expression composite with the 3 subscales. So then if we talk about her interpersonal composite, she's pretty well balanced. She's at 130. She's pretty solid when it comes to dealing with people, understanding the importance of mutually satisfying relationships. I think she's actually having mutually satisfying relationships. She understands pretty well how other people are feeling, and she's very socially responsible, and she understands the importance of community. Under her decision-making composite, she sees things as they really are. I think she does. I think her 120 score is like an authentic score, a genuine score. I don't think she's, over. Some people see things worse than they are, or better than they are, and it's not balanced. And if you look at the subscales just in this composite, she's obviously out of balance. But I think that she really just is. There's a sense of frustration. She doesn't know where or how to move forward. And instead of just moving forward, what she does is she probably resists or delays herself from acting because she's really not sure. So she's got this sense of hesitation with moving forward because she really doesn't know how. Yet, she understands completely the way life is and that she needs to move forward and stuff like that. So I'm not concerned about the 120 in relation to the other 2. They make sense. Under the stress management composite, she comes in at 108, which is a decent score. Her flexibility is at 90. Stress tolerance is 104. Her sense of optimism, 123. Her high score in optimism is increasing her score in the stress management composite. It's really her optimism, her sense of hope, and her positiveness is carrying this composite really in such a high score. So she's coping as best as she can. She's trying. I see a sense of trying really hard to adapt her emotions and her thoughts and behaviors, and she's trying to be flexible when possible. But again, she's really kind of she's hesitant. So all of those scores, the impulse control, the problem solving, the flexibility, the self-regard, and the independence, those lower scores in relation to the higher other ones really make sense to me. And again, her sense of happiness is at 89. She's just, she's optimistic, she's hopeful, she's positive, but she's kind of keeping her level of happiness at bay. She's almost half smiling, so to speak,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then we go to midpoint, and she's at 123 with total EI. So she's gone up. Her self-perception is 127. Her self-expression, 111. Interpersonal even goes up another point to 131. You can't go much higher. Decision-making skyrockets to 121. Stress management holds at 107. Her happiness skyrockets to 120. So if you look at these, 17, her interpersonal is, all the other composites just need to get up to her interpersonal. But if you look at them, they're basically pretty well balanced. Her stress management is lagging a little bit. Her interpersonal is spiking just a little bit, that sort of thing. Slightly out of balance, but still no concerns. But I'm going to look at the subscales. Her self-regard moves from a 90 to a 118. That says to me that, that class that you and Natali sent her to is she is proving to herself that, she thought she was good. She thought she had probably some good skills and that she could work well and stuff like that, or she just needed an opportunity. And she now has that validation. Not only does she respect herself, but she has a sense of confidence. You know, going to class, going to work, having something to do, and be productive at really, really helps a person's not only productive, but purposeful work. You see, her self actualization was high to begin with, but yet she wasn't living a she knew the importance of purpose in her life, but she wasn't productive in that purpose, you see. But now she is. And her sense of understanding her own emotions, you know, goes to 125. Self-actualization goes up to 127. Either way, you're in balance, right? You're going to fluctuate sometimes a couple points here or there while you're in the midst of this type of program. Overall, her self-perception composite is solid. Self-expression, again, solid. She goes up to 111. Emotional expression goes to 110. Her assertiveness, right, now goes down to 109. So she's becoming more balanced. Her independence rises 32 points to a 107. So she's getting it. She is really, her hesitation is gone. She's flying. She's just moving forward. Interpersonal, again, solid. If you and she even goes up. She goes up in interpersonal to 124. Empathy, 129. Sense of social responsibility goes to 126. Basically the same, and she's solid. Decision making spikes to 121. Problem solving goes from 81 to 102. Reality testing goes to even higher, 130. She now sees that she always thought there was light at the end of the tunnel. She knew there was light she knew that there was light at the end of the tunnel, but she's now walking the walk. And she not only is seeing things as they really are, but she's living the way she wants to live and the way she sees herself to be living. Her impulse control goes to 120. She is balanced. She knows when to delay, when not to. She knows when to act, basically, depending on her emotions. She's got it managed, right? Her stress management is solid at 107. Flexibility moves to 93. Stress tolerance takes a little bit, goes down 5 points to 99. Her optimism, though, stays steady. She's even keeled. Her sense of she's a positive person, and her happiness now rockets up 31 points to a 120. She no longer has a half smile. She's got a full smile. Her face is shining. Her eyes are bright. Her whole demeanor has changed. And in the midst at halfway point, she is still struggling with her physical ailments. But even with those, she is plowing through. She's doing a really great job. So now we're going to go to post. So we're a year out. Her total EI is at 126. She goes up 15 points. That is phenomenal. And if we look at her composites now her self-perception, 130. Self-expression, 113. Interpersonal, 132. It goes up even more. Decision-making, 121. Stress management, 116. Happiness, still steady at 120. Now, again, you can see the growth here. She started with knowing that community is important. Interpersonal, interpersonal relationships, mutually satisfying ones are really important. She's had them probably in her life. And now her sense of self has been anchored. So now you see the hesitation is gone. Her self-expression now starts to move up. She also is going through the cohort and understanding the importance of making decisions in a balanced, less emotional way. And she's starting to do that with a score of 121. Her stress has improved. She is really struggling with her stress. And I think my guess is that her physical ailments, right, were really giving her the most stress. And yet she is here making strides and goes up 8 points overall, right? So I'm
Wow.
interested to see her scores in regards to stress management when she does a post 6 months EQi. My guess, or
Mhm.
hope, I should say, is that her stress management will also increase almost to the point of, matching the interpersonal and the self perception. So if I go into the subscales, I want to see self perception is at the 130. Her self regard goes up even more to a 121. Overall, she goes up 31 points. Self
Mhm.
actualization, is status quo at 127. Emotional self awareness 132. She has made great strides and not in here, because not only did she increase the most important subscale, I believe, in conjunction to or in parallel with her optimism subscale, which is self regard. Without self regard, you got nothing. So she's got that self regard, which is what she needed. And now you're seeing what her life now looks like, right? Um, and she's maintained self actualization. She has sustained herself, which is really really hard to do, which gives me great hope that in the future she will be able to sustain herself emotionally and
Wow.
socially, in a positive way. So her self expression composite goes up to 113, so 15 points overall. Her emotional expression is at 108, which overall is 5 points higher. Assertiveness goes to 116. So she's basically got that steady. She's balanced that. Independence stays at a 107. So remember, this is piggybacked on her self regard. So when she started,
Mhm.
she was lower in the emotional, in the independence. So that is being brought up because she now has a sense of self confidence. So she is making decisions with less hesitancy. So overall, her independence score goes up 35 points, which is amazing. Interpersonal, she is solid. She's even gone up or stayed status quo. Amazing. Decision making,
Mhm.
she goes up 26 points with an overall composite score of 121. Her problem solving goes to even higher to a 107, 26 points. She gets it. She understands that in order to make decisions and to problem solve, she has to keep her emotions out of it. She has to have a sense of clarity, right? And when she
Mhm.
makes decisions. So she's finally starting to understand this. Her reality testing is there. Her impulse control is there. So her problem solving, again, when we have that meeting on the 26th in regards to problem solving, this should hit home so that the next time I test her, she is probably going to get a higher, hopefully, problem solving score, which is going to bring this overall composite home. Stress management, look at that. I mean, 116. She went up, her flexibility went up 23 points overall. Stress tolerance, she went down by 2 points. Her optimism stayed even keel at 123. And that is okay. That says to me that this girl, this woman, has a positive demeanor. And there ain't nothing that can come her way that's going to push her off that anchor. And now that she's got
Mhm.
her self regard and she has a little taste that she can do what she always thought she could do, nothing's going to push her off, probably. That's my guess, that of off her
Yeah.
self regard. So she's got self regard is solid, optimism is solid, and her look at her happiness is 120. So she is solid. She went up overall 31 points in happiness. She looks like a very emotionally and socially solid woman who is, just very healthy emotionally and socially. If I go into her balancing the EQIs and we really look at this, what I'm looking at are discrepancies or things that aren't balanced. So I see problem solving is lower than a lot of the other subscales throughout, whether it's in self perception, self expression, interpersonal, decision making. So Again, I'm not worried about her stress tolerance scores because I think that's going to go away now that her health is really doing much better. Problem solving,
Yeah.
a 107 is a good score. She has great scores. We just would like to have them more balanced. And her sense of emotional expression in relation to a few other subscales when you put them together is a little lower, but I'm just not worried about it because as she moves forward and she gains more confidence and she loses the hesitancy, right, to express herself, that's going to just automatically go up. So I see nothing um, alarming here. And if I had to have one candidate who I said, if you never saw her again, she could probably be sustainable, it would be this young lady.
That's right. That's right.
So that's Jacqueline. Any thoughts or? uh,
Yeah, I think that's very true because she's really gained some sense of independence. She has grown from what we knew her a year ago, and she's really
mhm,
coping with her personal needs, emotional needs, and so on. Because she's unlike the others that run up with problems here and there, call for things.
mhm,
She's not like them. She's really different. She's thriving.
mhm. And how, I can't remember, how old is she again?
She's about 29. I'm going to check that chart. I had to send you in ages, but I forgot.
Yeah, I thought she was a little older. So, that's the other reason, the more you live, the more experiences that you, life experiences, within your time frame or your years of life, usually, yeah, you'll have a higher score than some of those who are younger. Doesn't always apply. Some younger people have had more life experiences than Jacqueline has had, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
surprised that she started with a higher overall total EI because of her age. I would almost expect it. It makes sense to me. Um,
Um,
you know.
you see, this somebody that's been out for years. Her childhood, her youthfulness, and everything was and almost independently,
Hmm.
struggling on her own, trying to make ends meet. So she probably developed a very large heart
Hmm.
to contain a lot of things.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
can still
she's.
look back into the chart of the age,
Hmm. She's
but she's
lived a whole
resilient.
life already, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. All right, I'm going to stop the video here.